It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205 462 8192 or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. And with that, we want to welcome you inside another edition of the Stingray Show. And yes, we are starting way late today because of some scheduling issues with our guest today. But I do want to let you know that we're going to talk college basketball. We're going to talk a little Super Bowl. And we're going to give you the latest on legendary coach Lou Holtz as Tim Brando, a.k.a. Timmy B, who is known for The Rim is Unkind. He is on deck to join us to talk all things sports right now on this edition of the Stingray Show. And hey, he joins us every single day in our open. So Timmy B, take it away.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you inside the Wednesday edition of the Stingray Show. And yes, we're starting way later than our normal 8:30 a.m. show. But hey, Heath, better late than never, right? When it comes to the Stingray Show or anything else for that matter.
Well, it's Groundhog Day again for me. Snow on the ground. Kids are still out of school. 12th day of snow. 8th day that they've been out of school. So, but got out, took them to the orthodontist this morning, so they didn't have to miss any school to go to the orthodontist. But yeah. I kind of laughed when she said, "Do you need a school excuse for today?" I was like, "Nope, not today. We don't need one."
Yes. All right, so Heath, let's not keep our guests waiting. We are going to do a post show after we get through with this interview. But first, let's go ahead and discuss and bring on our guest today. And that is none other than Tim Brando, who is already on site for a big basketball matchup in the Big 12, Houston versus Central Florida. Tim, how are things with you as we sit here and it is also Super Bowl weekend?
Yeah, great to be with you guys. And by the way, just for the record, because I did, I care deeply about you guys, and I know you always want to get it right, Stingray. It's the iron unkind, not the rim unkind. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
It's the iron unkind, not the rim. But listen, I know you meant well, and it comes from the heart. That's the bottom line. But just left the two shoot-arounds for both Houston and UCF. Houston's number 8 in the country, and I think, they made it all the way to the championship game with really one possession away from winning it all. And I think this team this year is actually better.
Right.
Even though they've got a couple of losses, I think they're even better than the team of a year ago, and deeper, especially in their backcourt. They have a great freshman, Kingston, and this kid is just an unbelievable guard that plays for them now. He went for a 42 burger the other night, and in a loss to Texas Tech a little over a week ago. The Big 12 is loaded. They are the best conference in America in college basketball, and I say that with the understanding that the SEC is still very deep, may get more teams in the tournament than the Big 12, but they don't have as many alternatives for the Final Four as the Big 12 does. The Big
Right.
12 has, Houston, Iowa State, Arizona's number 1, hasn't lost a game. And Kansas is now, with Peterson back and healthy, he's going to be the number 1 player taken in the draft. And if he can play for 40 minutes in a game, they're unstoppable. And I get to go to Kansas on Saturday. So I get to see the Jayhawks and Utah then. And of course, BYU is a top 15 team, just lost at Kansas. And they've got another one of the great freshmen in college basketball. So you got 4 or 5 teams. Iowa State, I saw midweek last week, and they're just, I don't think they're going to lose a game at Hilton Coliseum.
Right.
They've done just a remarkable job. So the Big 12 is this year's version of what the SEC was last year, in my opinion. And the SEC is still really, really good. But right now, I think probably Florida is the team that most likely has the best chance of going the deepest in the tournament. But they don't have any 1 seeds, probably don't have any 2 seeds.
Right.
3 and 4 seeds, and later they'll get a lot of teams in, but their path will be a little different. The Big Ten is also front loaded, a little bit like the Big 12, but I don't think it's as good as the Big 12 is. So it's a great time if you love college basketball. More people are watching college basketball than ever before. We had a game on a Sunday, the Sunday without any football, that was the highest rated regular season game in the history of FS1 between Nebraska and Illinois on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, so that should tell you something about where college basketball is. People are seeing the great effort, and the because of the portal era that we had in football, we saw an emergence of more parity. We're beginning, we see that in basketball too. So, I'm really, really busy. As a matter of fact, I was leaving Iowa State, because I know you want to talk about Coach Holtz. I was leaving the Iowa State game and being driven to Omaha overnight to get to Creighton to do the UConn-Creighton game on Saturday night of last week. So it was Friday night late when I saw a couple of Instagram posts about Coach Holtz, and that he had gone into, at least reportedly, into hospice care. And I have a sister that passed away back in November after a 40-year battle with cancer, and she went into hospice care about a week and a half after I had seen her at the hospital, and she was doing fine. We had a great conversation, but she slipped and had some, the cancer took hold. And when she went into hospice care, I think they thought she would last quite a while, but she didn't. She only lasted about a day and a half, and she was gone. But hospice care now is different than it used to be. It's not, people go into hospice care now and can stay and fight and be alive for 6 months to a year, and that wasn't the case. It certainly wasn't the narrative on hospice care until recently. I think people thought of hospice care as you're sentenced to die.
Right.
Until recently. And I've been told, I've got a son-in-law that's obviously in the medical profession, and a few other people have told me that. So I was very, very concerned, and I reached out and texted Skip Holtz, who is a dear friend of mine and has been for a long time, since I worked with Lou in CBS in 1997, 98. Craig James and I were in the studio with Lou before he took the South Carolina job. we actually did a couple of NFL regional games on CBS. Uh, One between the Tennessee Oilers and the Baltimore Ravens in November of '98, and he was being courted by Mike McGee, the then director of athletics at South Carolina, for that job at that time, and wasn't sure whether he was going to take it or not. And McGee was negotiating with Lou because Lou, even though he had a broadcast television agent, Sandy Montag, Sandy didn't do coaches. He didn't handle coaches, and so Lou represented himself when it came to football jobs.
Right.
And so it was hard for McGee to get to Lou sometimes when Lou wasn't in the mood to negotiate. So Mike and I were friends. He's now since passed away, but he was an old football player at Duke years and years ago. Played with Sonny Jurgensen, as a matter of fact, going back in time, and knew him. He said, "I can't get a hold of Coach Holtz. I think you guys are flying to Nashville, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, let me know. Go to a payphone. We didn't have cell phones back then. Go to a payphone. Let me know when you guys are in the terminal, and just call me, and I'll have him paged at the airport." So while we were going to get our bags in the Nashville airport, all of a sudden, on the intercom, paging Coach Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, you have a phone call. Please go to the blah, blah, blah concierge desk at the airport. So Lou's like, Jesus Christ. I wonder who that could be. And I knew exactly who it was. And McGee was going over some fine print that apparently Lou was not happy with in the last contract offer that had been sent. And we get in the car to be driven over to the then Oilers facility outside Nashville, which of course was not yet the Titans facility. They were playing the game at Vanderbilt Stadium because they didn't have the new stadium in Nashville yet. So we go over to, we're being driven over to Nashville. Gosh, help me out, the great chain restaurant that everybody goes to that's on the road in the South. Help me out. They recently
Applebee's.
changed their logo. No, help me out.
Cracker
No,
Barrel.
no. Huh? Cracker Barrel. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, there you
Cracker
go.
Barrel. Because we were gonna get there was a Cracker Barrel on the way out of Nashville going to the then Oilers, soon to be Titans facility. So it was on our way there. Okay. And coach said, we're gonna have to stop. I need to get some food anyway. I need to talk to Mike McGee. He's I tried to make an offer I can't refuse. So we go in and we order some chicken and dumplings, and it's being served to us. And then Holtz, he was like, I got to go outside. I got to go talk. And he goes outside, gets on. There was a phone that they had that was a landline that had a long extension on it at the desk there. He's literally walking, pacing like you would on the sidelines, on the phone with a landline, talking with Mike McGee about his potential future for the South Carolina job. And Craig, James, and I are looking at each other with our chicken and dumplings going, one day we're going to be telling this story and people are not going to believe it. And so here I am telling the story and people are not going to believe it. But that's the kind of relationship we had. And I'm reminded of that now because of my concern for him. He wound up taking the South Carolina job, of course. And during those years we were together, Skip was coaching at Connecticut. He was taking UConn football from Division I AA or FCS to Division I at that time. And when we were in the studio at CBS, Lou always had one request, one monitor always had to be dedicated to whoever UConn was playing that day in an FCS game so he could keep up with what Skip was doing, trying to get his career going. And,
Wow.
Ultimately Skip left UConn to become Lou's assistant on the South Carolina staff. He was his offensive coordinator. As a matter of fact, 2 years in, Lou got pissed at Skip and fired him as the OC, made him a quarterback's coach.
Oh, Tim.
So so I called Skip immediately to find out after I saw the reports to see if it was true and verify it. And he told me that he was fighting the good fight, and that he was able to talk, and so it wasn't, even though he was in hospice care, the situation at that particular time was by far not dire.
Right.
So, which was some relief to me, and I thought I should pass that along on my Instagram page, which I did. And I noticed a few people picked it up. The New York Post picked it up. The state in Columbia, South Carolina, picked it up.
Right.
And so I was able to inform some people that would really be concerned and care deeply and love Coach Holtz, which he was and still is, obviously, a Renaissance man and Renaissance coach who affected the lives of many, many people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and I told Skip, I was going to pass that along if that was okay with he and the family, and he understood that. So that's why I went with it.
Tim, I've always loved and adored Coach Holtz. Read his book, Winning Every Day. Loved it when I was a brand spanking new reporter straight out of college.
Yeah.
Late 90s, early 2000s. I could not wait to get to SEC Media Day to talk to Coach Holtz.
Right.
And one of the games I had to cover as brand new media reporter, the first game after 9/11, the South Carolina Mississippi State Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
And got to talk to Coach Holtz. And of course, he made jokes about things and this and that. But you mentioned Skip, and there's a story in his book that I absolutely love. And I wonder if Skip's ever mentioned this to you, or if Lou ever mentioned this to you, that when he was at Notre Dame, and I think it was Skip that was playing for him at Notre Dame,
mm-hmm.
and he was on the punt return team, and Skip was going back to block the punt. They had stopped. I can't remember who they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame was trailing. It's fourth down. They got him to punt. They're going to get the ball back. Under 4 minutes left in the game. And Skip runs into the punter and gets a flag. And it's a first down for the other team. They run out the
Mm-hmm.
clock. And Lou
Mm-hmm.
comes into the press conference after the game. And he said, there's one thing I sure do understand now. I understand why lions eat their young. Which made me die laughing.
Yeah.
Lou Holtz is the only guy that's ever written a book that made me laugh out loud reading the book.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm reading the book, I'm reading it in Lou's voice in my head. But Lou talked about that game where Skip ran into the punter and got a penalty.
That's
cost him the game.
Yeah, always. And there was a period there. He broke the mold in so many ways. I mean, here's a guy that was one of the all-time great coaches in any sport collegiately, but college football, at the number one brand of college football at that time, Notre Dame, who never played football himself, did not play college football or pro football, who was his first job as an assistant was under Woody Hayes at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And he has a lisp, an absolute lisp, and became a $30,000 per night Washington Speakers Bureau hit as a public speaker because he had incredible content. Jesus, he talks like that. Yeah, but he had incredible content. He was so bright, so smart, so deep in knowledge, but also had a wit that was just off the charts.
Yes.
Funny. And so the perfect after dinner speaker, perfect keynote speaker. You just tell him what kind of room he's in and the audience that he has, and he could absolutely perfectly fit an ad-libbed speech to that particular group in ways that made you think that he knew all about whoever your group was. That's what made him so extra special. And he also is a guy that, and a lot of coaches, I think, today are afraid to do this. He was also a guy that absolutely loved what he did and who he was doing it for, more than anything in the world while he was doing it. But he was also honest and transparent enough to let them know how badly he needed to be appreciated and, in fact, loved in return. Right. And if you didn't show him that love, he would take it personally. He would. and the level of insecurities that he had in terms of, I just don't know if they want me to coach here or not. I just don't. And so I was going back to Mike McGee again at South Carolina. Mike, you have to make him aware of the fact that you really want him for this job, that there's no one else that you're offering this job to, because this is a guy that has a legacy of 100 wins. He people talk about the way he left Notre Dame, and there was an issue over the Prop 48 situation with Tony Rice, who, by the way, was a South Carolina kid, that he got into Notre Dame, great kid, but he was not an automatic qualifier, and you had to be an automatic qualifier with your ACT scores to get into Notre Dame. And Lou pushed he pushed the button on Tony Rice, got him into school, and then when the school learned that he was going to have to sit a year because of Prop 48, they took umbrage to that, and Lou made everyone that was in power at Notre Dame aware that this is just not right. This young man is a great young man. If you knew anything, this young man is great in the classroom. He's perfect for Notre Dame. You need more people like Tony Rice. I mean, he fought for that kid. And then when time went on, after they won the national title, the 88 season and 89, that was at a time when I was moving away from College Game Day and going out to call games with Vince Dooley, who had just retired from Georgia in 88. And so the following year, when they were defending champions in 1989 and was number one in the country, we're 7-0, coming off a win against USC at home. I've got number one Notre Dame against number 7 Pittsburgh. Mike Gottfried was 7-0-1 with Alex Van Pelt at quarterback, and they're going in to play the Irish. And we've got that game on ESPN in the afternoon with Vince and me calling it. And then that night, it was Florida State and Miami with Ron Franklin. And I want to say Kevin Kiley was working with him at that time in prime time. So we had probably the best doubleheader of college football in the history of ESPN at that time on that particular day. And going into Lou's office with another legend, Vince Dooley, by my side to prepare for that game was just an incredible moment for me at 33 years of age at that time. And I had just moved my family back home to Louisiana. I had signed my contract to re-up with ESPN for 5 years. And I was in seventh heaven, absolute heaven, getting to do that game. So our relationship was spawned at that particular time. And then fast forward past that period of Notre Dame when he finally gets away. And one of the reasons he left was because if you don't expect that, if you're not trying to be excellent, if you're not trying to be the best at Notre Dame, listen, no one cared more about the standard that Notre Dame had, and that included the academic standard. But Lou did take umbrage and was very angry that there were people looking down upon Tony Rice, and that maybe a school like Notre Dame wouldn't accept a player like Tony Rice. Right. And I think that followed him for a period of time. And ultimately, instead of having an impasse and making it ugly, he looked at the records because he was a great historian. And Lou decided, you know what? I'm not going to pass Newt Rockne as the all-time winningest coach. He won 101 games. I'm going to get out when I get to 100. And he planned it. He knew that last year was going to be his last, and if he could get that last win, he'd become the second winningest coach in the history of Notre Dame. Funny, Brian Kelly would eventually pass Newt Rockne. How about that? It's Brian Kelly that passed Newt Rockne, not Lou. But Lou did not want to break Newt Rockne's record.
Right.
And he thought, I've got other things I can do. I love TV. I can do that. And if I have another run at college football coaching, I'll do it. But I'll do it at a place where I can have more control over what's going on. And at that time, Notre Dame was fighting a real uphill battle in terms of recruiting because their standards academically were such that you couldn't get the kind of athlete there that you could get in the SEC. And so, a lot has been written about it. Some Notre Dame, younger Notre Dame fans will point that out. But I'm here to tell you the majority of Notre Dame people, particularly the old guard from, say, Gen X to baby boomers, he's beloved. because they felt like he put out there for people to understand that Notre Dame, to move forward, to be a major factor moving forward in college football, they were going to have to make some adjustments and adapt. And you know what? They did. They did to a point where they could get back and compete nationally. But there's never been a coach like him. And I don't think there'll ever be another coach exactly like him. But I will say this. He had a level of swagger and humor about him that made him sort of a combination Bobby Bowden of his generation and Kurt Cignetti of this generation. I think Cignetti is a guy out there right now that's kind of bucking the system. That's hey, we can do this. This portal NIL thing isn't so bad. In fact, I'm going to win a national championship because of it. And he kind of looks people in the face and says, you don't believe me, Google me. You know, those are the kind of things that back then Lou would say, and so it's not like there aren't guys that out there still today that have some Lou Holtz in them, but there'll never be another complete version of Lou Holtz.
Tim, as of Wednesday, do you happen to have an update on the health of Lou Holtz?
He's where he is now is where he was then.
Okay.
The family, in the aftermath of my making contact, and I guess that's what spawned some of their thought process on it. And all I did was just let Skip know that I was going to, write something about it, and did they mind? And of course they didn't. But since then, they've been putting out, he and his brother have been putting out about, not, I guess, once a day. They've been putting out reports from them on how he's doing. It's still hospice care. It's still about comfort. Okay. There are a lot of different issues at work here. And when you're, on the cusp of turning 90 years old, that can happen. I mean, that can just happen. So the specifics of what the actual medical issues are that have him in this position, I don't know and don't care to know, to be honest. But I do think that he's in fact, I know he's communicating with people. So that, I think a lot of times when people hear hospice, they think people are incapacitated, can't communicate, all that kind of thing. He's still able to communicate. The extent to which I'm not sure of, but they're accepting all the thoughts and the prayers, and it's a powerful thing, prayer. And Lou would have said that as much or more than anybody. And as much as, and I think that's another thing too, is that love and affection and need to be loved, which he thrived on, is something he needs now more than ever. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're handling it as a family the way they're handling it.
Tim, you have had the opportunity to cover some of the biggest events in sports. Have you ever had the opportunity to broadcast a Super Bowl?
No.
Okay.
No, I've gone and covered the Super Bowl. I did so with my radio show for the 15 years that I had it. When I was at CBS in 2012 and the event was in New Orleans, I remember we sort of took the city over, and my show was being done from the convention center, just like all the other shows on Radio Row. But we had a big set, had another one on Jackson Square. So covering a Super Bowl, yes. I've covered a ton of them. Broadcasting one, no, never have. I was asked this question earlier today. You guys may know this name from radio because he's been out there for a long time. Steve Zabin out of Washington, D.C. I was on with Zabes taping a show that I think he's going to run, if not today, maybe Saturday, on his weekend show that's syndicated. But he asked me the question about, do you have any regrets for never having done a Super Bowl? And I'm like, I don't live in regrets. I never really wanted to be even an NFL announcer. I wanted to be the best college football announcer I could possibly be. I looked up to Kurt Gowdy as my mentor, and he did a lot of Super Bowls. but I was more enthused about him calling a Rose Bowl than I
Right.
was about a Super Bowl. I'm just more of a college guy because of where I grew up, like most Southerners would be. Um, and I don't have any regrets about never having done a national championship football game any more than I would have any regrets about not doing a Super Bowl.
Right.
Uh, I've been asked this many times, Tim, if you had stayed at ESPN all those years ago and not had moved back to Louisiana, you'd be doing the games that Fowler's doing now. And I'm like, okay, you think for 1 minute I was going to stay for 25 years as a studio host to do games in the booth? I don't think so.
Right.
I was not nearly that patient. Not nearly that patient. So
Right.
I admire that Chris did that, and it was good for him, but it was never going to be good for me. I
Right.
wanted to be calling ball right then, right there,
Right.
and
Right.
and I never looked back. So the level of game that you get to call definitely has an impact and influence on how you feel about what you're doing.
Right.
But that's a little bit like that. That's like a more pointed question than, "Hey, don't you miss the SEC?" No, I don't miss the SEC. I still cover it. I still watch it. I don't broadcast them anymore. But my
Mhm.
God, for the 42 years now that I've been in this business, 30 of those years I was doing primarily SEC.
Mhm.
So I had seen all the things that you could possibly see in the Southeastern Conference, whether it was SEC tournaments that I did for Raycom or Jefferson Pilot, or the games I called for Jefferson Pilot or for ESPN. And of course, all those years in the studio and even calling some games at CBS and the SEC, that I did. Those battles for the boot with Arkansas and LSU on the weekend of the Iron Bowl. Those are old hat for me. I far prefer going to new stadiums in places around the country that I'd never been to, like
Yeah.
the Big House, like the Horseshoe, like the Rose Bowl. So that's the same kind of thing. Uh, it's the joy of getting to call the game is what matters the most, not where you are to do it
Right.
necessarily. But I've always considered that, you know, I've led a blessed life, and probably only, say 20, 25 guys at the end of the golf season get invited to the Tour Championship. And I'd like to think that if we were to take a golf analogy and put it to broadcasting, I'd like to think that for all those years, uh, I've been worthy of being in the Tour Championship of college broadcasting, both in football and basketball, and even to some extent baseball. I did 7 College World Series in
Yeah.
9 years at ESPN. So uh, that's the way I look at it. I enjoy now what I'm doing now and what I'm looking forward to next. Live in progress, not in regrets.
Right.
That's the way you have to approach. I think life in general, and certainly the television business.
So, Tim, if you would briefly break down for us the Super Bowl this weekend,
Yeah.
New England versus Seattle.
Well, the Patriots are a team that, if you think about it, my God, what was it? 4 wins last year? I think that's right. 4 wins. And here comes Drake May, and then a defense that Mike Vrabel's put together. Speaking of, by the way, those Tennessee teams, Tennessee Titans. I mean, Vrabel, a player on that team, part of the Music City Miracle.
Hmm.
Steve McNair, that generation of players in Tennessee at that particular time. Vrabel was a New England Patriot player. Now he's a New England Patriot head coach. I mean, and Vrabel is a guy that embodies, I think, what the modern era of NFL football is all about. A guy that, Dan Campbell is same kind of story really in Detroit last year, but they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Vrabel has made it to the Super Bowl now in New England. And at a time when I think people thought that New England was going to remain mired in mediocrity and not be a factor in the post Tom Brady era, It's like, hello, no, this is the NFL. This is
Yeah.
how quickly you can get it back together in the National Football League. Um, Push comes to shove in this game. I think that there's a part of me that would love to see Sam Darnold continue this run that he's on,
Right.
because he got treated like trash
Mhm.
by the Vikings, by so many other people.
Mhm.
And, I was calling his games at USC in 2016, 15. He was a guy everyone thought could be immediately an influence player and an impact player in the NFL. And his story, I think, is one that proves that when you play the position of quarterback and you're a high draft pick, you go to the wrong team and you don't get the right coaching, or the organization is in flux, you get screwed. Even after 14 wins at Minnesota, he got screwed. I mean, that actually happened to him, and he winds up gone. And for him to wind up in Seattle and now be in this position, in large measure again because of a defense, May's situation is where it is largely because of what the defense did, not what he did in the championship game. They out defended a better defensive team, really, and the weather had something to do with that in Denver, no doubt about it. But if Darnold does this, pulls this off, it'll be huge. Same by the same token, if Drake May does it, it's the same kind of story, really. And I don't think there's any losers in this thing. It's only a winner. It's a winner's story here, whether
Right.
it's Seattle or New England. I'm guessing maybe the league, given the situation it finds itself in now with the embarrassment of the Bill Belichick NFL Hall of Fame story, the league probably is hoping down deep, if you get them cornered, that Seattle pulls this thing out, because it's gonna sting a little bit,
Yeah.
given what's happened with the Hall of Fame snubs of not just Belichick but Bob Kraft. I mean,
You could
it
also
really will
twist that
sting.
with Vrabel. The Titans kicked him to the curb and
They did.
just threw him out like a piece of trash. I'm like,
They did.
what are you doing to Mike Vrabel? I mean, this guy, he took you to the playoffs last
Yeah.
year, and you're throwing him out after
Yeah.
this one bad season. This
Yeah.
is insane.
So it's like Jerry Glanville said it to that official years ago in NFL films. The NFL thing's not for long if you screw this up,
That's
and that's
right.
true for coaches, players. People give up on you, and it's up to you to, reclaim your status, to resurrect your own career after seminal moments.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about this in my basketball game tonight, and we're going to talk about it. Kelvin Sampson, how we talk about Nick Saban. How would history have been different had Nick Saban not taken the Miami Dolphins job?
Yeah.
Okay, what would have happened at Alabama if Nick Saban had not been available and he had stayed and not gone with Wayne Huizenga to Miami? By going to the Dolphins and failing, and he did fail, whether he wants to, he failed. He didn't get it done. He couldn't get him past 500, and he passed on Drew Brees as a free agent. Okay. And as a result, the Saints did what they did, and the Dolphins are still trying to recover from some of the decisions that they've made through the years.
Right.
But he comes to Alabama, becomes the GOAT, right? Think about it in basketball. When Kelvin Sampson took the Indiana job, he was only there for 2.5 years. Then the cell phone gate hits him. Now, what happened to him with the NCAA and the phone calls, the cell phone calls that they were able to look at with players, that wasn't just some sort of misdemeanor back then. That was like a double felony. Well, I mean, it cost him his college coaching career. He had to go into coaching exile at the college level, become an assistant coach in the NBA for almost 5 years. And even though he was capable of being an NBA head coach, he was told on more than just a couple of occasions when jobs opened, and he was being recommended by a lot of great NBA people, including Greg Popovich, who was the first to hire him in San Antonio as an assistant. They were trying to help him get a head coaching job, and in places like Minnesota, they were saying, "No, we can't do that. He's not a big enough name. He's not a big enough name. We can't have him." And so the Houston Cougars job after Phi Slamma Jamma and Guy V. Lewis left, it was like a desert. It was like it didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm.
No one even knew that Houston was playing basketball or what league Houston was in. And he's an assistant coach with the Rockets. The job comes open. It's offered to him. And he tells the administration there, he says, "You know what? I'll come if you do this, this, and this." And one of those things was, "I'm going to bring my son with me. And I want my son to be the head coach in waiting when I'm done," because he was in his 60s. And you know what? They gave that to him, put it in the deal. And so now he's coaching. He's his own general manager. He's his own. He does the whole NIL portal. He does all of that. Okay, he's got other people with him, but he's in charge of all that. And now he went from coaching exile to now being he's on the docket. Okay, he's one of the nominees for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this year. Okay, now think about that. Where he was in his career just a handful of years ago to where he is now. And this team probably should have won that game really last year against Florida. Kind of let it slip away. You could make a case that they should have lost the Duke game in the semifinals, but they won it in miraculous form. And then they had the game primarily in their pocket and couldn't hold on against Florida. And I think this year's team is better than last year's. So in the coaching profession, crazy things can happen that change the course of history. And that's true in the NFL. It's true in college basketball, college football, all of them. You know,
Tim, I got a super quick follow-up. You mentioned Phi Slamma Jamma, and we've talked about the Memphis Tigers. You called a lot of those games back in the 80s. I always thought my Memphis Tigers, because that was the first team I ever loved, I always thought they could give Phi Slamma Jamma a headache because you had Willie B, you had William Bedford, and Keith Lee down the post to give Keem Olajuwon problems.
Yeah.
And you had Philip Doom Haynes and the Batman, Baskerville Holmes. I felt could give Clyde the Glide some problems. Could my Tigers take on Phi Slamma Jamma back then?
Well, if you remember, I'm going to have to brush you up on your history, Heath.
Okay.
In that 1983 team, the 1983 team, you go back and look at it. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the Signetti. I'm going to use that. Oh, no, I know, but this was still Keith. This was Keith Lee, though. I mean, it's Keith Lee, Andre Turner, Baskerville. All those guys are there. Bedford was a freshman in '85. Okay, the team that went to the Final Four. But in '83, 2 years earlier, who did Houston beat to go to the Final Four in St. Louis? Memphis State. Memphis State.
Wow.
Go back and look at.
I'll have to get on YouTube and watch that game tonight.
Check out this. Clyde Drexler with his Michael Jordan-esque dunk. He launches himself from the free throw line. This is in St. Louis. He is jumping over Andre Turner. It's a posterization of
that's not
the
saying
little
that.
general
He was like 5'4".
Andre Turner. No, but he went way over him. Later that year on a similar play, Drexler does the same thing, and he picks up his fourth foul in the championship game, and Terry Gannon was the guard for NC State. Drexler is doing the same thing to him that he did to Andre Turner, and Terry puts his arms around him, hugs him, and Drexler gets a charging foul as opposed to a blocking foul, and that put Drexler on the bench early in that game to give NC State a chance to get a lead in the first half of that game. True story. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes in 1983. So, no, it didn't happen in '85, and it didn't happen with Bedford, but your Memphis State Tigers were the team in the Elite Eight that lost to, in fact, I'll tell you who they beat to get there. They beat Karl Malone's Louisiana Tech team in the Sweet 16 to get to the Elite Eight that year.
Wow.
So, I know my hoops history.
Yes, Tim. Buddy of mine, Brad Bush. He helps me call the Hernando High School football games. I've known him since the first day of first grade. We've been friends since childhood.
Right.
He has season tickets to Memphis. He grew up having season tickets. Parents had it. He's now got them. But he was at the Grizzlies game. Keith Lee is sitting across the aisle from him. He said more people paid attention to Keith Lee at the Grizzlies game than the Grizzlies that night. He said, I guarantee you over 200 people asked for pictures and autographs. And small kids, teenage kids, preteen kids are like, are you really Keith Lee? My dad's told me all about you. My granddad said you're the greatest. But he said the entire night, that's it. Keith Lee didn't say a word. He just smiled, nodded his head, and smiled. Took every picture. But Keith Lee is still, other than Jerry Lawler, is still the most popular person in Memphis.
Oh, I'm not surprised to hear that. I got one better for you since I'm in Houston, and this is way before your time, Stingray. But Heath will remember, and if he doesn't remember, he can. I'll use Signetti again. Google him. Okay. Tonight on our game, I happen to have one of the great producers in the history of college basketball, Steve Shear, producing our game tonight. He was just a remarkable producer at CBS and was responsible for all those great interviews and great moments in the huddle that coaches would allow. And we do the in the huddle things during college basketball. Steve was the guy that started that trend. Anyway, since Kelvin Sampson has come to Houston, he's had 3 jerseys retired of old timers. One was Dwight Davis, another was Don Chaney, who played on that 68 team in that 68 game with UCLA and Houston at the Astrodome, the game that Roy Hoffines put in the Astrodome that helped popularize the sport of basketball on television. TVS, Eddie Einhorn put that game on nationally, and Dick Enberg and Tommy Hawkins called that game. It was the largest crowd at that time in the history of college basketball for a regular season game in 1968. Okay. So Don Chaney had never had his jersey retired. Don Chaney had a remarkable NBA career as a player with the Boston Celtics, went on to coach in the NBA in the 90s, and never had his jersey retired at Houston. All right. And the other was Jim Nantz, who did the Guy Lewis show while he was a student at Houston, just like I did the Dale Brown show when I was a young broadcaster at LSU. So those are the 3s. But listen to this. The radio play-by-play of Houston basketball, when the game is being played at home because he doesn't want to travel anymore, but the color analyst for Houston basketball is none other than the Big E, Elvin Hayes. He is 80 years old. Elvin Hayes, who took down the great Lou Alcindor, later Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in that game of games, game of the century, they still call it. And I still believe the most important regular season game ever played in college basketball was the Houston-UCLA game that year. Now, UCLA got revenge and won the national championship game. Actually, they beat them in the semifinals of the Final Four later that year, also in Houston. But that year, that game, Elvin Hayes was on the front cover of Sports Illustrated, beating down the great Lou Alcindor and ending the all-time winningest team. They had been on a winning streak of 80-some games at that time.
Right.
Elvin Hayes did that. No one that's come in here to do television yet on a Houston game has mentioned that Elvin Hayes is doing radio color commentary. Well, we are tonight.
Yes.
How about that? How about that?
Amazing. Hey, you mentioned announcers, and this is a sad note. Yesterday was the 10-year anniversary that we lost Big Jack Eaton. And I don't know if you and Jack Eaton crossed paths.
Oh, yeah, big time. When I was doing the TV, Great Caesar's Ghost was calling the radio on Memphis State. Yeah. I mean, he was you talk about a personality that was bigger than life. Big Jack Eaton was bigger than life.
Everyone loved Big Jack.
Tim, I've got 2 questions left for you. Both of them surround college basketball. The first one, I hate to bring it up because everybody's talking about it, but Tim, I want to get your take on what Florida fans called Sunday the G League dropout of Bediako being allowed to come back to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide after playing in the NBA. What are your thoughts about players that are in the G League or the NBA being allowed to come back and play college basketball?
Do they have any idea in Florida how many European players not only have played or that they have had on their own team playing
Right.
that were being paid to play across the pond? I don't think so. Okay.
Right.
And I wouldn't expect some of those fans from that generation to either know or care. Okay. But that's the reality.
Right.
I also am appalled to some extent of the level of grief that Nate Oates has had to put up with from so many Alabama fans that believe that it's awful that he would allow a player like Bediako an opportunity to come and play, like he's taken some legitimate roster spot away from a true collegiate basketball player. What kind of holier than thou attitude is that to have, given how much money you've paid for players both before and after the NIL and portal for
Right.
football? Just shut the blank up. Okay?
Yeah.
Shut the blank up, because you don't know what the blank you're blanking talking about.
Right.
Okay? That's the world we live in. Oates doesn't mind taking this heat because his job is to win games. His job is to go out and win as many games as he can and get Alabama to a position where they can play for and win a national championship. That is what he is in the business of doing. Okay? Trying to quote unquote win a moral compass award is not something that's in his DNA. But the double standard applied by these fans in Alabama to basketball, when they look the other way and tout, look who we got in football, is beyond the pale. It's beyond the pale. And it's further proof of how stupid they are when it comes to basketball. For all the knowledge that they let people believe they know and have of football, they don't know jack blank about basketball.
Right.
It's currency or it's history. And this is just further proof of it. And when I turn on the SEC network and I see some levels of this stupidity, and in fact, I'll use it, okay? It's not just stupidity, it's also racism. All right? It is. Because in basketball, we know the level of players, the percentage of players is far greater, black versus white, than it is in football. It is. Okay, we're talking about 85% versus, say, 72%. That's significant. Plus, in football, they're wearing suits of armor. They see crimson. When they're out on a basketball floor, you can't escape the skin. It's there, okay? And it's a shame because the fans that are at the games, the fans that are actually at the arena supporting the team, they're better than that. They know that. It's the people that never go to basketball games, but the people that will go on the internet or they'll go on talk shows and blast away, that somehow think of Nate Oates as doing something that's despicable and beneath comprehension. And we never thought at Alabama we'd see something like this. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So that's how I feel about it.
All right. And finally, Tim.
And I don't like using the R word.
Right.
But by God, I'm going to in this case. I am.
Go for it.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It's just wrong. And I think the viewpoint, not just at Alabama, but a lot of other places in the South, when it comes to college basketball, that's been the dirty little secret. That's been the elephant in the room for a long time.
Right.
You know, when people ask me questions, this happens a lot, Stephen. Don't you like basketball more than you like football? People will say that to me a lot. And I know where they're going. And I'm like, no, I love college football and college basketball. I'm equally passionate about.
Yes.
But they like, but you know a lot about basketball. Well, yeah, I'm supposed to know a lot about college basketball.
Yes.
Everybody as much as I do football.
Yep.
So should I know less because it's not the sport that you covet? No, it doesn't work that way. So
right.
I take that very seriously.
Yeah.
I do.
Tim, when we had you on before, I believe it was the second time we had you on, you told a hilarious story about the late, great Bobby Knight and you getting into it. Would you please,
I brought that question
out
up,
the door, tell that story again, please?
Oh, really? Okay. I was doing a game between Michigan and Indiana, and 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 I was getting ready to go call the game, and I'd just done the week before a game between Iowa and Indiana, back when Roy Marble was playing. This is like 1987. I'm 31 years old. I had just moved up to Connecticut, and Vital and I were getting ready to do the game. And in those days, we had just gotten the NFL, so Mike Patrick was busy doing Sunday night football, and if Mike couldn't make it, I was the next guy. So they were going to put me in on that game. And so I'm doing the game at Iowa, and I had there was a story revolving around one of the Indiana players that had been in the local papers in Cedar Rapids, I guess it was, and I told that story, and then I asked some questions of the Iowa people about it, and but Knight had been quoted by that uh, columnist that day, and I just mentioned that in my storyline, and I didn't realize that Knight hated this columnist, but he did, and his wrath towards print media was well noted by that time, and I was still very young in the business and looking for some affirmation from the big names in coaching that I was doing a good job. So it mattered to me that the Judd Heathcoach of the world, the Dean Smiths of the world, and Knight, of course, who was considered probably the best game coach of basketball at that time, that they respected my work. So I'm going in to do the Michigan game, and Vital hasn't gotten in town yet. His plane was late, and the SID said that practice was open, so I could go to it. So he was in the middle of some tirade against some of his players at practice, and I walk into the gym in Bloomington at Assembly Hall, and he just stares me down and just immediately starts MFing me and treating me like one of his players. And you can get the blank, 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 blank out of here. Don't you ever quote me ever again, blah, blah, blah. I really didn't know what he was talking about because I just called the game. I didn't write the story, and I didn't even know what he was upset about. But he's treating me really, really badly in front of his team. I think what he was doing was trying to point out to his team that he could treat me as badly as he would treat them. In other words, he's no different. I'm not going to suddenly be more respectful because this guy walked into the room. I'm kicking his ass out because practice is closed. So he yells at me, "Get the blank out, Brando. Practice is closed." I said, "Well, your SID, Kit Klingelhofer, told me that it's open." Well, he doesn't know what he's blanking talking about. And even if it were with you in it, it's not. So get the blank out. And so I said, so there's a big door, big, huge door that made a noise when you opened it up. And so I couldn't resist myself. I'm shaking. I'm young. I'm being bullied. But I had the chutzpah to say this, young Timmy B being young Timmy B. I looked at him. I shouted all across the gym. I said, "Not a problem, Bob. You run the same blank every game anyway, and everybody knows it." And I walked out. You run the same blank every game, and everybody knows it. And so I just walked out. Now I go back to the hotel, and I'm shaking. I mean, I'm shaking. I'm still shaken by this. I go into the hotel, and Vital's in there. And Dick and I probably worked, I don't know, by this time, I started in 85 with him. So we've worked probably 30, 40 games over a 2-year period by then. He goes, "See ya." And he right away senses something's wrong with me. "What's wrong?" I said, "That no good blankety blank blank blank. You know, the son of I'm going on and on." And he says, "The general got to you. The general, he got on your ass. Unbelievable." I'm like, "Yeah, he got on." And he's like, and I'm going off on him. He shows no respect. He's a bully. He's this. I'm letting him in the lobby of the hotel. I'm saying all these things. And I said, "Don't worry. It won't affect me tonight. It won't affect me. I'll be professional. I won't say a word about it." But it really pissed me off. And Vital says, I'm telling you, man, he's just testing you. He's going to come up before the game. He's going to pat you on the back, probably pat you on the ass with his program. He's testing you, Timmy B. I said, he asked me, what did you say? And I told him what I said. That was awesome. What you said to him was unbelievable. He's going to love you now. And there we go. And I'm doing the game. I swear, this is true. Game starts. We're doing our on camera on the floor, and the Hoosiers come running out right behind us, and you can see Knight come up behind us, and he just pats me on the butt and taps me on the shoulder like, "Love you, man," as he walks by.
God.
And we're in the middle of doing Dick's talking, and I'm looking at Dick, but I feel somebody pat my butt and my shoulder, and I look over, and it's this gray-headed Bob Knight walking by, and Dick starts laughing in the middle while he's talking to get to the break. And as soon as we go off, so we'll be back with the opening tip right after this. He turns to me, "Well, I tell you, Timmy B, he loves you now. You told him to go blank off and blah, blah, blah." See, and he was right. He was absolutely right. From that point on, Knight and I had a wonderful relationship. He was charming to me, charming. But that's just the thing that he would do, use you as an example to his players.
Right.
And if you stood up to him, and I did, then he would respect you. If you didn't, if you cowered, he'd continue to bully you. That's just the way. That's the way Bob Knight rolled. So true story.
Tim, I got two fun questions, but I'm going to save it.
Right.
Did Dickie V give you the name Timmy B?
Pretty much in terms of popularizing it. But pretty much in terms of popularizing it. And I also like to, I was a pretty good dancer in those days. And I could do an Elvis impression of Elvis when he was in his prime, hunka hunka burning love, that kind of thing. So the two nicknames were Timmy B and then Toe Tapper, the Toe Tapper. And somehow Toe Tap and Timmy B would come into just combine the two. And it was Toe Tap and Timmy B. And then, the ability to ad lib when things were breaking down in the studio and a score got stuck or something, and you start to ad lib, that was kind of a compliment of sorts to say, "Don't worry, man, the Toe Tapper will get us through this. Toe Tap and Timmy B," that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'd say Dick was probably the guy that coined it for the first time. And when he was referencing me on a game, it sounded good to say, "Man, Dickie V loves it when Timmy B's here," that kind of thing. So,
Tim, give us an Elvis impression.
I don't think with my camera shot we can quite do that.
Okay.
But let's just say I had it down pretty good.
Okay.
We'll save that for Chateau Brando after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Tim, who wins the Super Bowl on Sunday, in your opinion?
I think that Denver probably should be in this game.
Yeah.
Not for what happened weather-wise, they would be in the game. I think Seattle has been really the hottest team going, and their defense has just been every bit as good as Vrabel's. I'd give a little bit of a coaching edge to Vrabel. I do. But I think personnel-wise, I like Seattle, and I'm just going to pick – I want to pick the Seahawks this time because the gods really owe them for what happened in the end zone in that interception that gave Brady another ring when he really didn't deserve another ring. So I'm going to say the football gods get even and Seattle wins it all.
Okay.
There you go. Tim, my fun two questions for you were, obviously we all got a memo or we're going to a Johnny Cash tribute concert because we're all wearing black. I don't know how that happened. But the other thing, if there's any way you can work into the game tonight, shut the blank up on air. Next time you're in Memphis, rendezvous is on me, brother.
Shut the blank up. Yeah.
And rendezvous on me the next time you come through Memphis.
It's funny how that always comes out when you ask me an Alabama question.
No.
And it's dealing with the fans, right? It's dealing with the fans. Yeah.
All good stuff.
Tim,
all right, fellas.
Has been a blast. Thank you. go and enjoy your time there in Houston, and please let everybody know the tip-off time for the game this evening.
We're on at 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern on FS1,
Okay.
and this is going to be an entertaining game. I really believe it. Now look, Houston makes you look bad. It's going to be a grind. It's a defensive game. First one to 55 probably wins, but
Yes.
I'm telling you, these guards, they're going to be on display tonight for both UCF and by the way, who's the coach at UCF? Johnny Dawkins, okay,
Yeah.
of Coach K fame, the 80s. And, last year, his team, a little bit like Nebraska, had to settle on playing in the Crown tournament out in Vegas. Look how good Nebraska is.
Mm-hmm.
And now look how good UCF is. They made it to the Final Four of the Crown in what was a 16-team field last year. And, that's pretty impressive when you think about it, what these guys have done. So
Yes.
looking forward to it tonight.
Tim, be safe in Houston and in your travels to Kansas on Saturday. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we would love to catch up with you the week of the NCAA tournament to talk about your bracket, okay?
Okay, pal. Great being with both of you.
Hey,
Take care.
rendezvous. Shut the blink up.
Bye-bye, fellas.
Tim.
Yeah, you bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good, Tim.
Man, always a blast. Shut the blank up with Timmy B.
Wow. I'm sure the folks in Tuscaloosa can't wait to welcome him back. So, yeah, Tim hasn't called any SEC games in a while. I just thought about this. Steven, you got to remind me the next time we have Timmy B on.
Right.
Ron Franklin. He mentioned Ron Franklin earlier in the show. I love to listen to Ron Franklin do play-by-play. Just loved him. He talked about he had the early game. Ron Franklin had the late SEC game, the ESPN2 games there back in the 90s. But, man, Ron Franklin could paint a picture and a setting so beautifully before a game and really give you the vibe of what's happening on campus that week and in the stadium that night. And the late Ron Franklin, Oxford native. But, yeah, I really do miss Ron Franklin.
Heath, we've gone an hour and 7 minutes. Do you want to do a post show?
Yeah, we can do one real quick. Why not?
Okay. All right. I'm going to pull us down. I'm going to run a quick advertising, and then we will come back with the birthdays of today and the national day of today, okay?
Sounds good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. All right, Heath, at the time of this live show at 2:19, it is currently in downtown Memphis, 39 degrees with a wind chill of 26. It is currently 42 degrees here in Tuscaloosa with a wind chill of 36, and this goes very well with what national day it is today. It is National Sweater Day.
National Sweater Day. You were mentioning all those weather things. I had to look see what the weather was in Key West. 66 degrees. It hardly ever gets below 70 in Key West. Right. 66 today. I would love to be there.
So today is National Sweater Day, and you definitely need it across the 48 states.
Yeah, I'm actually fixing to go downtown Memphis here in the next little bit. You know what? I might even go to the Rendezvous. It'll be open for dinner by the time I get down there.
Right.
I just thought about that. I haven't been to the Rendezvous in forever. But, Steven, the Sweater Song by Weezer. Are you a big fan of it?
Never heard it.
What? That's an
Never.
excellent song.
Never heard it.
I will try to post that on the page here later on. The Sweater, it's a wonderful song. Fun song. It's from the grunge movement. It's from the mid-90s. But the Sweater song by Weezer. You want to hear something funny? My just turned 17-year-old daughter loves Weezer. And I came in the other day from work, walked in. She's blaring it. And she has a record player. She's got the Weezer record. And she's even got a Weezer poster on her wall now. But she's blaring the Sweater song. Because I immediately came in. I was like, did I leave my Bluetooth speaker on? I got a Bluetooth speaker out in the shower. I was like, did I leave that on? I was like, I've been gone all day. That wouldn't have picked up. Yeah, it was my daughter rocking out. So there you go.
It is also National Hemp Day.
Oh, geez. We should have had Snoop Dogg on the show and not Timmy B. I mean, if we're going to talk about hemp. Wow. I don't know how you celebrate National Hemp Day.
I don't know either.
But I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
Which I've never done hemp, so I have no idea.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything to add to this.
No.
I'll throw this out there. I did hear Snoop Dogg tell a story once that he ran into Willie Nelson over in Germany, I believe, and they were talking, and Willie Nelson invited Snoop back to his hotel room, and he said, "That's the only time I have ever been smoked under the table." He goes, "Willie Nelson can smoke anybody under the table."
Wow.
And Willie said, "Hey, let's get out of here. There's a KFC down the street." So they go to a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Germany, both high as kites. And Snoop said he was reaching in to get a piece, and both him and Willie grabbed the big piece of the big breast of chicken. He said they both started laughing, and Snoop's like, "No, man, you done smoked me out. That's your chicken, Willie." So, yeah, that's all I got for you for National Hemp Day is Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson. I'm sure you can find that story somewhere on YouTube of Snoop Dogg talking about Willie Nelson smoking him under the table.
Heath, food today is National Homemade Soup Day.
Nothing wrong with that. My wife, years ago, I was coughing and crazy. I was having this terrible cough. She found some recipe, like some carrot soup, something or another. Brother, that was like some of the best stuff I ever had. Like, I didn't think it was going to taste good. I was going to take it because I thought it was like a home remedy for medicine, and it was. Oh my gosh, that stuff was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't even think the last soup I had. You know what? I can. It was the other night, Sunday night. I had was it Progresso or whatever out of the can? It was roast beef, something another. Roast beef and vegetables. I can't remember what it was, but I had that Sunday night for dinner.
Yeah.
What about you? When's the last time you had soup?
I don't like soup.
What? Who doesn't like soup?
I don't like soup. I don't like chili.
Steve, are you communist?
No.
Maybe you need to go live in Germany.
Maybe so.
What do you got against soup?
I don't like it.
All right, what do you got against chili?
I don't like anything tomato.
Wow. Stephen, have you ever got like a bowl of chili, some Fritos, put some sour cream in it, mix it up?
No.
Go to Wendy's and get you a small chili. Get you a small chili, get you some Fritos, get you some sour cream, mix it up, and use it like a dip. Use the Fritos. Go get the Frito scoops.
Yeah.
Try it and tell me how you like it. Because I think you might like that.
Okay. All right, Heath, we're not going to end on deaths like we usually do. Let's start trivia. Can you tell me who died on this day in 2016? He is an American Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Grammy-winning singer for the following songs: Shining Star, Best of My Love, and After the Love Has Gone.
Wow. I might get this if I had multiple choice. Go on, tell me.
The founder of Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice White.
Wow. I probably wouldn't have gotten that with multiple choice. I do remember Earth, Wind, and Fire songs. I don't know anybody in Earth, Wind, and Fire. I should.
Right.
And I might learn. Well, I learned something today. Maurice was in it.
Yes. All right, let's go to the birthdays. This musician was born in 1948. He is still living, and he is referred to as the godfather of shock rock.
Of shock rock. Is he a punk rocker?
Yeah.
But he's still with us?
Yes. 1948.
That takes out Sid Vicious. Punk rock. I'm trying to think of some great punk rock. And it's a man, right?
Yeah.
Go on, tell me.
Alice Cooper.
Oh, I wouldn't put Alice as a punk rocker, but yeah, the great Alice Cooper.
Shock rock.
Yeah, I could see that. He is shock rock.
So he is known as the godfather of shock rock.
Yeah, I heard an excellent story one time about Alice Cooper. I've heard nothing but great things about Alice Cooper. I heard he is just a very nice gentleman. I heard he's one heck of a golfer too.
Right.
He's very open about his faith and his love of Jesus. But I heard it was at the end of a tour. I heard a guy, I read an article talking about, this guy was talking about confessions of a car salesman. And he said, he talked about the do's and don'ts of car salesman. He said, but don't ever judge a book by a cover. He said it was a random like Tuesday afternoon. It was a cold morning. And there was this guy out there with long hair and holes in his jeans. And there's like, I'm not going out there. That guy's just wasting time. And he said I went out there and introduced myself. And he ended up buying like 17, 19. I want to say they were Ford Mustangs. I can't remember. They were sports cars. They could have been Camaros. I can't remember what they were.
Right.
But he had just gotten done with a tour, and he was buying all the guys on the tour a car.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great tour. They had a successful tour. And one Alice Cooper out there buying everybody on tour a brand new Mustang or Camaro, whatever it was. I was like, wow, what a nice guy.
Yeah.
To buy the tire, all the roadies a car. Bought them brand new cars, man. How nice is that?
All right. Now, Heath, I don't expect you to know this because you don't like country music, but actually, I have got tickets to go see this gentleman on the front row at the Lyric Theater on February the 20th, and I'm really looking forward to it because I am a major fan of his. He is an American Grammy-winning country singer, Country Music Association Male Vocalist of the Year in 1990. He is known for Killin' Time, as well as Like the Rain, as well as his own version of Desperado, Cadillac Jack Favor, and Nothing But the Taillights.
That's Clint Black.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I've seen
sir.
Clint Black in concert. He puts on a nice show.
Today is the birthday of Clint Black, and I'm actually going to see him on the 20th. I am looking forward to that.
He tells some good stories at his show. I saw Clint Black back in the 90s. There was an extra ticket. He was playing in Tunica.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually in college, and we went and saw Clint Black play in Tunica. And, it was a fun little show.
Yeah.
But, wow, Clint Black.
So today is his birthday.
Do you know, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard he named his son Cole Black, which I thought was funny.
Right.
First day of school, they say your last name and then your first name. Black Cole.
Or Cole Black, yeah. All right. Heath, now you should know this one because of your TV and film class back at Mississippi State. Do you happen to know anything about George Romero? Or George Romeo, sorry.
Did he do a couple of war films?
Nope. You should know this.
What do you do?
He is an American comedian filmmaker an American Canadian filmmaker, and he is the creator of the modern era zombie movies, starting with The Night of the Living Dead in 68,
Oh,
Dawn of the Dead in 78, Day of the Dead in 85, and Creep Show in 82.
Creep Show was amazing. I still love Creep Show.
So
Creep
if
Show
it
1 and 2.
So if it wasn't for George Romero, we would not have any of the modern era zombie movies.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead influenced so many filmmakers and so many
Yep.
in Hollywood.
Yep.
And that's still kind of the standard now. I mean, Walking Dead has kind of brought that up, but there would not be Walking Dead if it was not for
Nope.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought that. You know what? I've never thought about this, but Walking Dead is nothing but a modern version of A Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
And it just played out for years instead of a couple hours. But yeah, that's insane. And you know, they talked about how he did some positive things to throw out segregation and you know, respected voices and having a black male star as a lead, which that was never done back then.
Right.
He did that in that movie. I don't think he really thought about it. I don't think he was trying to go out and change the world. I think he just like, hey, this guy's really got, you know, the best that I've seen so far. It was an incredibly low budget movie, but I
Hmm.
think he was like, this guy's the best actor that we can afford. Let's put him here. And so, yeah, but wow, good
All
old
right.
Romeo. Thank you. What do you say, George Romeo?
Yep. George Romeo. Yep.
Wow.
All
Yeah,
right.
good stuff. Creep Show. Have you ever seen Creep Show, Stephen?
No.
You should watch it. Stephen King did those movies back in the mid '80s. He directed them. You should watch those. Good stuff.
Heath, finally, two things. Can you tell me who unfortunately died on this day in February the 4th of 1983? And this sent shockwaves around the country as she was only 32 years old.
'83. Man, I'm 7 years old. Man, I'm the same as my youngest right now. I don't know who was it.
One of the most beautiful voices of all time.
'83. You passed away in '83. Who was it?
Karen Carpenter dies of a heart attack due to severe anorexia.
Wow.
She was only 90 pounds at her death. On February the 4th, she collapsed, and paramedics noted that her heartbeat was only once every 10 seconds. She was pronounced dead at the hospital, and she was due to sign the divorce papers from her husband later that day.
Wow. Who was her husband?
I don't know, but he sang along with her because it was the Carpenters.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That was so sad, man.
That
She
is sad.
had a major, major issue with anorexia.
Hmm. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
All right, and Heath, getting off of that, can you tell me what research hospital it was founded on this day in 1962, and it is still going strong today?
In '62, it could have been the Mayo Clinic. It could have been St. Jude. It could have been, I don't know. What was it?
St. Jude's
There you go.
is founded February the 4th of 62.
There you go. Marlo Thomas, did so many great things. A resident here in Memphis, and or Danny Thomas. Marlo was his daughter. Excuse me. Danny
Yeah.
Thomas did so many great things. His daughter Marlo did some things out in Hollywood, and she actually still is, the voice for St. Jude. She does a lot of the commercials. She's the face of it. As the spokesperson. And if you don't know about St. Jude, it is a wonderful place. It is a free cancer hospital for children that have cancer. And they just tell you, just make it to the front door. We will take care of everything else.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you got insurance or not. Just make it here and we'll take care of you. And they do. And there's not a bill given to the family. And it's an amazing, amazing place.
Heath, finally, we're not going to end on that. We're going to actually end on something fun. Well, it can be fun. Can you tell me what major thing was founded February the 4th of 2004?
2004, February. I don't know, Bitcoin. I have no idea.
Come on, man. We're live on it right now.
What, Restream?
Facebook.
Wow, really?
Today is the anniversary of Facebook.
Did not know that.
Facebook is founded by Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Huh.
All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up the Marathon Stingray Show. Hope you have thoroughly enjoyed it with Tim Brando, and then, of course, our little bit of history as well as birthdays today and the National Day of today. We will return in the morning at our normal time, Heath, of 8:30. Make sure you're here on time because I'm blaming you for the late start today. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding about that. But
yeah, Timmy B. How many times did we change the show yesterday or for today? We changed it yesterday and today. Just 3? Okay.
11:30. No, 12:30. No, 1. I was like, man, come on.
Yeah, I kept changing and changing and changing. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But hey, the show is complete. We're done, and we're going about our day.
Heath, tomorrow we will have a Mississippi State basketball legend join us.
One Timmy Bowers, I do believe.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow.
Well, we went from Timmy B to Timmy B. So there you go.
All right. So, guys, we will see you tomorrow on the Thursday edition of the Stingray Show with a Mississippi State legend, Timmy Bowers, right here on the next edition of the Stingray Show. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, what you guys have left of it, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 8:30, our normal time.
Sayonara. We will see you tomorrow.
Heath, have a great one, and be safe, and hopefully tomorrow, your kids can go back to school.
Maybe we'll find out. They usually make the announcement around 3, so we'll probably get the heads up here in about half an hour. So we will find out. But yeah, it's 12 days of snow on the ground. I guarantee you there'll be some more snow on the ground tomorrow. So 13 straight days of snow. This is insane, man. 8 days out of school.
All right, see you, buddy.
All right, stay warm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender.